I made for Shabbos this week. Here's what 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 I made for Shabbos this week. I'm still cooking everything now, but I remember back in the day when I used to make these videos, because I've been making them for years and posting every Friday.
There are many foods associated with the Jewish holidays, but why wait till just once a year when they can be enjoyed all year round? And here with recipes from her cookbook, Eat Jewish, over 100 recipes that blend Jewish heritage, modern flavors, and family traditions. Welcome, Melinda Strauss.
Thanks for having me.
Well, we have got so much delicious treats here. So
today, I'm joined by Melinda Strauss, cookbook author, content creator, and one of the most recognizable Jewish voices on TikTok. Melinda has built a massive community by sharing Jewish life, culture, and identity with humor and honesty. She's also the author of Eat Jewish, a cookbook that brings tradition into the modern world. Today, we're diving into how she built her platform, what it takes to stay authentic online, and the values that continue to ground her as her audience grows. Today on Disrupt for Good, we have Melinda Strauss. I'm very excited to have her on today to share her story and her Jewish roots and her book, Eat Jewish. Jewish food is about more than recipes. It's memory, tradition, and identity. So how has your Jewish upbringing shaped the way you cook and the way you tell stories around food?
I love the way you introduced that because it's so true. Jewish food is our history, and it's the way that we're all connected literally around the world. Like every single Jew around the world, we're all sharing each other's food. Sephardic, Ashkenaz, Mizrahi, we're all like mixing up our foods together, even though we don't always realize it. I mean, I grew up in Seattle, Washington, where there's a very large Turkish and Greek community. I am not Turkish or Greek. I am Ashkenazi. I am Hungarian and Russian and Polish, but I grew up eating Sephardic food also, and very specific types of Sephardic food. There's a lot I didn't even know existed growing up. Syrian food, I never ate that growing up. But it was this thing where like it just brought us all together, and I was able to learn so many different cultures and history about Judaism through food. So it's not just eating it, right? Which is where with my book, I wanted to make sure it wasn't just me sharing recipes, but me being able to teach people history so that people who don't know about one type of Jewish food are going to get to learn about it. Or if they don't know about any Jewish food, they're going to get to learn about it.
I love that. And I love that you explained it in such a way like that, because I feel like cookbooks sometimes just display the recipe and that's that. And sometimes people just need some more explanation, and the history means more sometimes than just a simple recipe, because it goes far beyond just one generation. It goes back, maybe to your great grandmother or even years beyond that. So it's just such a beautiful thing. And I think within our religion and within this specific, culture, so much of the traditions come from food, and I think it's such a beautiful thing.
Oh, totally. And it's cool because some of my recipes, I've had people say to me, oh my gosh, my grandmother made it the exact same way, because they were sharing the recipes with each other. So it's not the recipes in my book, a lot of them are original and some of them are handed down from generations. So it's cool to see people who are like, my grandmother never shared the recipe, so thank you, because now I have it again.
Right. And it's interesting also, just a connection on that one, because it's funny that you said that. People say noodle pudding, all that kind of stuff. And, that's one of my favorite dishes. And the way my mom makes it in her family, I love it that way. But when I try my friends and their families' recipes, I love it just as much too, because it's so interesting to try, their ways and their customs as well, because it's just so fascinating to me to really have that experience just as much as my own. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I had someone tell me, well, what do I need your book for? I have a potato kugel recipe. I'm like, you have your potato kugel recipe, but you don't have mine yet. But also my book I do have a kugel chapter, because kugels are something I love so much, but there's so much more to the book than just kugel. So you may have your favorite potato kugel or your favorite challah recipe, but you're going to learn so much more.
Right. Yeah. And it's like, just you wait, till you try mine. It's like everyone has their just you wait.
That's right.
Yeah. So my next thing is, so I want to talk about your time on TikTok and your time in the digital space.
Sure.
So in a digital space where identity can sometimes feel, diluted or performative, how do you stay rooted in your Jewish values while still reaching a massive, diverse audience?
Well, I set a lot of rules for myself. One of them is I always ask myself before I post, is this helping the Jewish community? Because there's a lot that we could talk about that, well, sometimes it causes more anti-Semitism. Sometimes it's just things that the Jewish community is trying to work out for ourselves. And it doesn't need to be aired, right? All our dirty laundry doesn't need to be aired. So I
Right.
ask myself all the time, is this helping us? Because it's very easy to get clickbaity or want to discuss certain topics because they'll get really good views. And one of the ways that I do stay grounded is in reminding myself why I'm doing this. I'm not doing this for the views, and I love the views. They're great and they mean I'm reaching more people. But I'm not simply doing it for that reason because I know that no matter how many views a video is getting, it's reaching the people that it needs to reach. So I'm constantly reminding myself of that. It's not that I'm talking to myself, right? Even though I have my phone up and I'm talking to myself, I'm really talking to a lot of other people. So I like to think of who I'm talking to and who I'm trying to reach.
Right. No, you're like welcoming over millions of people into your home. So it's
Yeah.
something that you have to really take into account. So when your life becomes content, boundaries get blurry. And I've heard you say this to your daughter, Nora, and I've heard you on the cruise before say, like, if my kids don't want to be in a TikTok, I don't force them. Like, that's something that I'm not interested in doing, which I completely respect. I think it's something that every parent, every content creator should follow because it's something that, you know, why should you force anyone to be in the public eye if they're not
Yeah.
interested in being? But some people don't follow that notion whatsoever, which is a
Yeah.
little tough. How do you decide what stays private and what you're willing to share with millions of people?
Yeah. Well, I would say even beyond my kids, anyone. Just like you said, it's not just, hey, my kids don't want to be in a video, my husband, my friends, anyone who doesn't want to be in a video, I'm not putting them in a video. And I ask the question first, are you comfortable with this? So sometimes it's even going out for dinner and they're not in the video, but maybe they don't want their mother recording while we're eating as a family. So I ask permission to record around other people. If they're not into it, I just don't record. I'm
Right,
not going to push other people into a situation they're not comfortable with. And with that, I feel like because the people we're asking who are of right mind, right? These are teenagers, these are adults, these are people who understand the consequences of being on the internet. I ask them for permission. So even more so with little children, they don't have the understanding to say yes or no. So the answer is they just shouldn't be in the videos
exactly.
because they have no concept of consent.
Right,
I saw a picture recently of someone where they covered their husband's face because he says he doesn't want to be in pictures, but they didn't cover their toddler's face. And I was like, I think she just doesn't realize that like your husband has the right to consent. So should everyone else in that picture. And
right,
if your child doesn't have the understanding of what that means yet, just cover their face. They don't need to be in your videos. Or I recently saw a video that was completely about something different. And they added at the beginning of the video their child for like 2 seconds. And then they went on to this very serious topic. And I was like, why did you put your kid in that video? Like they had no business even being in there. And I realized just that even going back to what we were saying before, thinking about your boundaries and who you're talking to and is this good for the Jewish people, but it's also is this good for my family? And
right.
if you're trying to do things just because it gets more views, then you're doing them for the wrong reason. And that's something that, unfortunately, not everybody people care a lot of times about the views or they want the money that comes with it. And those things are really wonderful, but I will never put those before setting respectful boundaries for myself and the people in my life.
Absolutely. And sometimes that's a downfall of social media is and content creation is like I and putting, your family at risk sometimes if they are not consenting to that,
Yeah.
putting themselves out there. So I completely agree with that. Your Thanksgiving feast has become legendary in my mind. And also, I saw some videos with Justin and Nora afterwards. When did Thanksgiving turn into, I would say, your version of the Super Bowl? And what does that day actually look like behind the scenes once the cameras are off?
Oh my gosh. Well, I would say like 10 years ago, maybe. It could be more than that, but I would guess around that. I started hosting and it was going back and forth between different family members. And then I hosted and just went crazy because I don't host other big meals. When I mean, I do Rosh Hashanah, but I go to my family in Seattle for a lot of things or to my in-laws in Florida. So for me, Thanksgiving became this excuse to just go crazy. And I started having lots of friends over and it just took off from there. I love that you called it my Super Bowl. It really is. I'm going to use that. I'm going to
You
take that from
should.
you. It's
It
so good.
honestly feels like it is because it's just a huge amount of food. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy how much you
I
have
love
there.
it. And I go crazy. And I always try and remind people you don't have to go this crazy, right? Because I understand that on the other side of social media, people are watching me and they're seeing, and I don't, my behind the scenes, I show a lot of it too. So people really do see a lot of what's going on. But I want people to understand you don't need to feel pressure to do it like this just because I love to do it like this. Any holidays that same way. But the behind the scenes are kind of like what you see. I'm extremely organized. I would say my family is very scared of me in the kitchen, so they don't come in a lot unless I need them for something. Like that was the joke with Nora and Justin making that video was like Justin does all the dishes. So his joke was running away and not doing the dishes, which would have been a travesty. But when I'm cooking, unless I need someone in the kitchen with me, they're out. They are gone and I want it that way because I like to be very
Interesting.
controlling. Yeah.
I didn't know that. So you're all hands off. Like you're all by yourself in the kitchen.
Oh yeah, unless I need something washed, I guess, or like Justin will come in throughout the day and do dishes on Thursday because he's not working, or I'll leave dishes in the sink for him if it's not something that I'm, doing on because I like to start preparing a few days in advance. Or even this year, I had started the week before and I froze stuff because I knew I was going to be away, and I like to have things prepared. But besides the dishes, like people are like make your kids help you. I'm like I don't want them to.
Right.
I don't, I want them out. And if they come in and offer, great, I'll find something for you. Or I just tell them to go, watch TV or hang out with their friends or do whatever. Mommy's got this. I love it. It makes me so happy.
That's like not what most parents would do with their children. Like I feel like in my house, at least for me, my mom would be like, you're helping or, do something to contribute. But the fact that you want them off, hands off and all that, it's actually very interesting.
Yeah, they don't mind. They
They
don't
don't
mind
mind.
it at
I,
all.
I'm sure they don't mind.
Yeah.
Judaism talks a lot about passing things down. When you think about the legacy you're building through food, content, family, and storytelling, what do you hope people take with them?
Oh gosh. I want people to keep sharing. Like, I may not have my kids in the kitchen with me when I'm controlling the kitchen, but they're seeing me cook. They're seeing the stories and the history, and it's not just food, but there's something like I would say on Thanksgiving, I made my grandmother's zucchini bread, and I didn't tell him which recipe it was, but it was his favorite. He's like, my favorite thing at this meal is this zucchini bread, and I was like, this is so cool that this recipe is something that's been passed down for generations, and without him even realizing it, he's eating history. And that was
Right.
his favorite thing at the meal. And I think that with my family, that's something that I want to inspire with other people. I made a comment I remember on someone's video about legacy. And I said, but they were talking about not having kids and like to each their own. But I just asked them because I was curious, well, what about your legacy? And they were the amount of comments I got, people were angry. People were very angry. What legacy? How selfish of you to think that this is about your legacy. And I didn't want to argue with all of them because angry people on the internet, you're not going to
It's
change their mind.
no, they're very
But
stubborn.
I just kept thinking, like, my legacy isn't about me. It's about the things that are important to me that I'm able to pass on and pass down that will then be important to them and then important to them. And it's the same way that I have my morals and values as a person and as a Jew, and I pass that down to my kids. And they're going to take from that what's important to them. It's nothing's ever forced on them. It's passed down to them because it's important to me. So when
Right.
I think about legacy, I think about history and stories and the actions that we do and how important they are. They're not about me. It's actually pretty selfless to be thinking about your legacy. It's not what are they going to say at my funeral? It's what am I passing down to my kids and then their kids and continuing down. So in generations from now, those morals and values are still a part of our life.
Right. I think it's great, like to maintain and continue to maintain things to have the ability to stay alive over time. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, I think in Judaism, especially and within this religion, it's important to remember the past and continue to talk about the past because there's so much there that remains. and that needs to be spoken about.
Yeah. Always. And listen, we're Jews. We every holiday we're talking about the past again. I was just making a Hamantaschen video and I talked about, the different shapes of or the triangle shape of the Hamantaschen and all the different reasons that we have that shape because there's so many different ones. And while I was talking about it, I was thinking about exactly that. How Jews, we don't just learn history to learn from history. We learn it because it's important to who we are as
Right.
human beings. And those things, the good and the bad, right? The trauma shapes us, but the good shapes us too. So every year we repeat and repeat and repeat because we
Yeah.
want to make sure that our history isn't just something that we talked about one time, but that it's ingrained in us.
And you learn from it too. I feel like some of it also resonates with our daily lives right now.
Yeah.
Even some of the stuff that occurred, hundreds of years ago, it still is very much applied to our lives right now and
Yeah.
can be. So
Oh, yeah.
it's very interesting and it's fascinating to really
There's
reflect on
always
that.
something. There's always something to learn.
Right?
Like even if you open up the Tanakh and you look at like what's our rule? Every word, every letter has a purpose. If one letter is used instead of another, the question is why, right? Everything has a purpose. And the purpose in a lot of that are things that we now, thousands of years later, can still be learning from every single day. A lot of it's just so cool.
It is. I think
Yeah.
so too. And there's a lot of people actually. So I'm still in school. I'm a senior at Tulane. And the school itself, it actually is majorly Jewish. We actually had Shabbat 1000 last week, which happens to be an event that they hold here on campus with at least 1,000 students. We actually had over 2,000 students from the campus come to the event, and the president from our campus came and like spoke, and it was really a very empowering night. And there's still people that come to that event that are not Jewish that are so interested in learning more about the culture and the religion and just being a part of the celebration. It's just such an amazing thing that I think it's just, and it's not even just that event and that one night, but in general, like the fact that people are so interested in learning more. And I'm sure that resonates to you also in
Yeah.
your page and people being on TikTok and wanting to learn more about Jewish customs and culture as well.
I agree. That's amazing. Wow, 2,000 people.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. No, it was great. It really, I mean, it speaks to, I mean, the actual campus happens to have a lot of Jews, but it also was just an amazing event that the Chabad had thrown. So it was great.
Awesome.
Um, so when you face criticism or pressure, which I'm sure leads with the brand on TikTok, what helps you stay grounded in who you are?
I always remind myself, I told you I have a lot of rules. Those
Yeah,
rules, I have so many.
but
But
it's
one of
important to
them,
have.
oh my gosh, seriously. And one of them is unhappy people, only unhappy people are posting negative things. If you're a happy person, you're not going on the internet and writing something mean.
Right,
And I'm not going to attribute what anybody else is unhappy about in their life, but I will always remind myself that when people are posting nasty things, when they want to fight and they want to argue, there's something going on in their life. Whatever it is, they may be a happy person who's just having a hard day, but whatever it is, something's going on in their life that's causing them to go on the internet and want to fight people. And so when I see all those comments, sometimes I'll see certain things and want to go in and be like, because I know people are going to read the conversation, and I want to make sure that I'm putting my foot in there sometimes when it goes too far. And I'm always happy to block people, by the way. Like anyone wants to shame you for blocking people, no thank you. Like I will block if you're going to come on and you're going to make Holocaust jokes and say disgusting things. Like it's just I don't have the patience or time for that. I do leave a lot of hate on my page because I don't want people to think it doesn't happen.
right,
Right? If I just delete it all, then it doesn't exist. But I certainly set boundaries on how far I'll let people go because at the end of the day, it's my page.
of
Right?
course.
Everyone has free speech in the world, but it's my page where I get to decide what's allowed and what's not allowed. And hate speech in general, not allowed. But I just always remind myself when people are arguing, when people are fighting, they're having a hard time, a hard day, a hard month, whatever it may be. And I just hope the best in their life and try and move on from that. Because if we let every negative thing somebody says get to us, we'll never speak. If
Right,
somebody wants to tell me that I'm ugly or they don't like something about me, that's them. That's not on me.
right. And the fact that you're also putting yourself out there into the internet. I mean, it comes with the territory, but
Yeah.
also, unfortunately, in this day and age, it's so hard because the trolls and the people that are out there, all they want to do is just fight back and just
Yeah.
live their lives like that. And it's so sad because that's what they want to spend their time doing. Okay.
Yeah. Or they're bots. Sometimes they're not even real people. And someone will like have a whole argument with somebody and realize they're not even talking to a person. So
Right.
when I think about my time and where I'm spending it. And if I'm spending my time fighting with someone about things that are, I don't even know if I'm fighting with a human or not, I could be spending that exact same amount of time putting something positive and good into the world. I could be cooking or making a video, or I don't even scrolling TikTok is way more fun than arguing on the internet with people I'm not going to change their mind. So I'd rather put out positive things into the world than waste my time on the negative.
Absolutely. So I'm actually curious. Now that you've put out your cookbook, you continue to post on TikTok, what's next for you and your personal brand? What are you going to continue
I
to
don't
do?
know.
And that's
I
probably
don't
a very
know.
hard question.
I promise you've not been the first to ask. And my answer is I have no idea, but I don't consider that a bad thing. I've been
No.
very much like I like to think of a word every single year that guides me. And this year my word is enough because I am enough. I like to remind myself of that a lot, especially as you compare other people on the internet and even trying to figure out what I want next. I want to remind myself that even right now I am enough, but also that I have enough because overconsumption got the best of me last year and kind of going off in different directions in shopping and trying to fulfill things that are not fulfilled through shopping.
Right.
So I've been focusing on that, but with that came the realization that I don't know what's next and I'd love to know, but I also have found in the past that a lot of the good things that have come my way didn't come my way because I had that on a dream board. I have things on my dream board that I would like in this life that I would be able to do, but none of them ever came with, like, even my cookbook was never on my dream board. It wasn't, I'm going to write a cookbook. It's, I want to impact people's lives and I want to teach people and things like that, which are much broader. But the cookbook was able to help fulfill that dream. Still, that's still the dream, by the way. It's not like everything's just
Yeah.
done, but I've realized that I don't know right now what's next, but I'm also so open to a lot of things that I'm just still taking the time. And maybe part of it is the book just came out. So it's what, 6 months ago. So I'm
Yeah. So
still
new.
living in that moment and trying to remind myself not to keep like, okay, would I like to write another book? I'm not sure yet. But this one just came out. So and I'm still doing demos and writing recipes and having all that kind of fun. So I'm trying to live in the moment at the same time. So my
Yes.
answer is I don't know.
But I also think I don't know is a good answer because I think rushing to the next and to the next can sometimes lead us to forget to live in the moment. And
Yeah.
it's so nice to just sometimes slow down and just also enjoy what's in front of us and
So
what you
true.
also just created. And it's such a beautiful thing what you just created too. And I know that the cookbook that you just created took years to create. And I'm actually curious as we're sitting here and I'm looking at that beautiful cover. What took, getting that together, because I think I heard some of that over TikTok, you explaining the process, but I'd
Yeah.
love to hear some more insight into the process of getting the cookbook and getting the deal together and kind of the process and the formation of doing this.
Sure. Well, it took about 2 years and it was really fun from the moment I had a signed contract, like the book was coming out. I was sharing it with everybody. I wanted to share the entire process, which is so crazy to think that I was sharing that process for 2 years on TikTok.
Yeah, that
When I
is.
look back, I put it all into one video and it's like I'm a different, even my look, I look like a different person because 2 years changes a
Of
person.
course.
And for me, the first part of it was that I put myself out there online and said that I was maybe going to write something because I knew that it wasn't just going to happen without me having accountability. So I had like thrown it out there on the internet just to see if something would stick. And someone reached out to me and they were like, "Hey, I actually have a friend who's an agent. Do you want me to introduce you guys?" I looked her up to make sure she was legit, and she was. She's a wonderful person. She introduced me to her friend who's an agent. He's amazing. His name is Joe. And we signed. Like that was it. I'm like, I don't need to shop around. I'm also the kind of person in general that doesn't need to shop around for a million of anything. Like if I like that couch, I'm buying it. I don't need to look
Right.
at
You're not gonna
500 more
waste your
couches.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's always been like that where if I know I want it, Is there always going to be something better out there? I don't know, but I'm not going to constantly be searching when something's great right in front of me.
Right.
So Joe was amazing. And that was the first step was getting an agent. Then after that, you basically have to write like a 20-page situation where you're writing what the book is about. You're writing what are the recipes going to be. You have to actually write a few recipes with some kind of images to put in there so that when your agent's shopping you around with publishers, they can see what the book's going to be. Met with a few publishers, got some no's, reminded myself that the only way you're going to get a yes is if you get a lot of no's. So that really kept me going. And then I met with a publisher. Their name is Cordo. They're like a pretty indie kind of publisher, and I loved the team. I loved them so much. They were just amazing. And I'm like, this is it. And they loved me. And it was just like mutual love everywhere. And they are so cool and supportive of the Jewish people and Israel. They're not like sitting there going like, we're Zionists, but they just support Israel. They're not all Jewish or anything like that. It was just happens to be that, and this was a crazy thing was, I had signed my book deal. I didn't even think about it after October 7th that I was going on the internet and posting all these things about Israel on October 7th and Zionism. And I didn't connect, like, what if my publisher doesn't like that? And the publishing
Right.
world is pretty anti-Semitic. There's a lot of really awful things that happen in the publishing world. Jews have been dropped from their publishers literally for being Jewish or for saying outwardly that they support Israel. It's been really, really bad. And I got a beautiful message from someone on the team that was like, just keep doing what you're doing. We love your voice. And I'm like, oh, thank God. But
Right.
I didn't even think about it because to me, my voice is my voice no matter what. I will always use it. And I didn't even think that there could be consequences, but they were wonderful and have been supportive the whole way through. And then it really just came down to a lot of writing and a lot of editing. Editing was the worst part. It was awful, but a lot of writing and editing, and then the photo shoots for the book, which were
Yeah.
exhausting but amazing. Like it's a process, but it was so fulfilling to go through that process and like really see. Even I don't love every picture in my book, but it doesn't matter because they're there and like they're all a part of the story. You
And
know
it
what I
all
mean?
came together as one. Like I feel like the fact that
Yeah.
it's all in one spot together, it's such a nice,
It's so
beautiful.
cool. Like I never
Yeah.
really thought about it that way. And it was funny, only recently did I realize I'm like, oh my God, I have a cookbook. Like a cookbook that will be on people's shelves for who knows how long. A
Right.
cookbook that when I look at my shelf, my book is on it now. Like that's my name right there. And it only hit me recently that it's real.
Right. And I'm
So
sure it's also such a nice thing. I saw on your TikTok, I know that you still have your grandmother, and I saw that you showed that to her. I mean,
yeah,
can you walk me through that? It must be such an amazing
it was so
process
cool.
and such an amazing thing to be able to show her that
She's
when
100
it comes
years
to
old.
fruition. Yeah.
She's 100 years old. She's of right mind. She's still 100. So like, she's an old lady, but it was so cool being able to be there in person with her holding the book that has her recipe in it. And like even the picture of her recipe on that page with her hands and like she's just very proud of it. And when I think of my grandma Dorothy, that's the recipe. It's a noodle kugel with raisins and crumbs on top. And it's the first thing that I think of when I think of her recipes. There's a few of the recipes that I love from her that didn't go in the book, but they're they're like, with every person in your life that cooked for you, you're always going to think of certain recipes for them. So the noodle kugel, which is controversial because it has raisins and not everybody likes raisins, but
Right.
it's always fun because people who don't really know kugel always think of one thing. They think of a certain type of noodle kugel. And they don't realize that there are just a million different ways that you can make kugel. People are like, "What's potato kugel?" What? Like to me, it's so natural to eat every type of kugel on the planet.
Yeah, I've seen you
But
make so
people,
many different versions.
oh my God, I
And
love
they
it,
look
and I'll
so
never
good.
stop. So for me, it was really fun to put in that noodle kugel, but make it different. There's no cottage cheese, there's no dairy in it. It's a dairy-free kugel. It could be made dairy. Go for it. It'd be amazing with butter. But just giving people something new that they didn't even realize existed. And with my grandma who gets to see it and she's still with us, it was amazing.
Yeah, I can only imagine how amazing that was. It looked like it was an amazing moment. So,
Yeah.
yeah. If you could pass down one mindset or value to the next generation, what would you hope they carry forward?
Ooh, oh my God, I have like 50.
You
One,
could share more than
no,
one.
it's
I'm happy to hear more.
to me, it's oh, gosh, I want to say it in two different ways, but using your voice. But I want to say it in this way that using your voice doesn't have to look like one thing. Using your voice doesn't always mean going on the internet and speaking to 100 or a million or whatever number of people. Using your voice can be supporting someone else who is. Using your voice can be standing on the sideline, but clapping for someone who is louder than you. It doesn't always have to be that your voice needs to be the loudest, but it's still you using it by supporting other people, by wearing your Magen David, by being proud of who you are. Even just that, which seems so quiet, is still so loud. So I want people to feel confident in using their voice, but also feel confident that the way you're using your voice that feels good for you is the right way to be doing it. It doesn't have to be the way that other people might feel like they're pressuring you to use it. Because I do see that a lot where it's like, this is how you're supposed to be. If it's working for you and you're able to support other people or you're supporting yourself, even if it's just quiet, that is you using your voice. Keep on doing that.
People sometimes are scared to speak up or speak loudly, especially some people who are Jewish. And I think, I understand that, but I also think that right now it's more than ever, it's so important to speak up and be proud of who you are and use that identity and really spread who you are out there into the world, even if
Yeah.
it's, to a few people or just to your classmates or to the people, your coworkers, just to really spread that message out there so that there's
Yeah.
less hate and more understanding out there. I think it's so amazing
Yeah. And
in
people
all
need to
respects.
remember it's not just about the numbers. If you're affecting one other person's life, you're making a difference.
Yeah,
It could be one person and it's making a difference. So when if you're someone who is putting out videos on the internet and they're getting 200, 300 views, and you're like, oh, that's so frustrating. I'm in 200 view jail. But what about those 200 people? Those are people. It's not just like, oh, if you're in a room with 200 people, it's a lot. I get that. But 200 people, if they're following that, that is a lot of people. And if one of those people sees your video and it changes their mindset or they're just there to support you, you're making a difference.
absolutely. Completely agree. Yeah, I think people don't realize that, but if your younger self could see your life now, what's the one thing she'd be most shocked by, or surprised by, or
Oh my
proud
God,
of?
all of it. She, she'd be like, I'm sorry, what are you doing right now? Although I've always been someone who used my voice in some way or another. I like to joke that when I was younger, if I liked a shampoo, I told you about it. So my younger self wouldn't be surprised that I'm using my voice to talk about things that I love and that I'm proud of. But first of all, she'd be like, what the heck is the internet? Okay, because I'm old. I'm 42. This whole world is just such a different place. But I think that she'd be just really proud. She would be is I don't know, really proud to see the change in my level of patience for others. I wasn't always such a patient person growing up, so I think that there's something really big there. And yeah, you're using your voice, you're doing all these things, but like how cool to be doing it in a way that is connecting with so many more people. Like I really used to have no patience at all for people. So that's a huge change. And I think because of my patience for people, I've been able to do more because like I had said before with those rules, like understanding where people are in their lives and giving people that grace. I can't say that teenage Mel was so good at that.
Yeah, I kind of resonate with that. I'm not the most forgiving with patience either,
Yeah.
but we're working on it.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
work in progress. I didn't even
yeah,
realize till my 30s that it was something that I could work on. So just so you know, everybody's growth happens in different times. And even when we grow, we're always growing more and in different ways. But it was in my 30s that I was like, huh, I heard a quote from someone, it's only drama if you make it drama. And that quote changed my life. Because I realized even when I'm scrolling TikTok, somebody will be sharing some crazy story. And I'm like, I don't need to, what am I wasting my time or minutes or even hours because of how much they post on somebody else's drama, unless I'm just in the mood to be entertained? It
absolutely.
only becomes drama if I choose to make it that.
Have you listened or watched or read The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins?
So I do, I actually went, she had a show for a little while and I went to her show. I love the 5 second rule. That was the theme of the show that I went to.
Mm-hmm.
Because do you know the 5 second rule?
I do.
Okay, love, love,
Yeah,
love. I
it's
use
great.
it all the time. But Mel, years ago, had she's been doing what she's doing now for a very long time. And
Yes.
I've read some of her books, and I used to watch and listen to her a lot. Haven't really like been so into listening to podcasts these days, but like I would say that's where my 30s was my time where I was just in it. Every morning I would watch this inspirational speaker talk. Mel Robbins was one of those people. And the let them theory, it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
I just watched a video of someone who was like, I'm gonna lay down in the middle of this, room right now, and no one's gonna care. And
Right.
even if they care for 2 seconds, let them. And then
Yeah.
they're gonna walk away and move on with their life and never think about it again. So if you want to do something wild and crazy, just do it. And the people around you, let them think what they want to think. It's not what matters. It goes with let the people in the cheap seats have an expensive opinion of, don't let the people in the cheap seats have an expensive opinion of your life.
Yeah.
They're going to have whatever opinion they want. Are they the people paying your bills? Are they the people who are changing your life in any way, one way or another? Like, why are we letting people on the internet who you don't even know who they are be the reason that you do or don't speak up? Or even that worry of like, oh, for women, it's some men too. I don't look pretty today. I'm not going to post on the internet. My makeup isn't done. My hair isn't done. So what is the thing that you have to say that I no longer get to hear because you didn't like the way your makeup looked or because you had some frizz, things like that. Let people think what they want to think, but say the thing that's important to you because someone out there their life's going to be changed because of it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's so empowering, and it's definitely shifted my mindset for the greater good, because I
Yeah.
used to let every little thing sometimes, bother me or make me think twice. And now I kind of go with the mindset of, okay, let
Yeah.
them think that way. Even with starting this podcast or starting anything or any of these ventures that I'm going towards, or any of the goals that I want to achieve, if any people out there don't approve or don't think it's a great idea, I'm going to let them,
Yeah.
sit back and watch me live my life and grow and build something that's going to become bigger than maybe
Yeah. And how
anything
many
else
of
that they're going to
them,
see.
whatever their issues are, like why don't they want, I would say this too, if you have people in your life, even if you don't understand their goals, support them anyways.
Right.
Support their goals because it's important to them. You may not even think it's going to be successful, but keep that to yourself and just support them for doing this thing that they're going out of their comfort zone to do. How cool is that? And they hope that their friends are going to want to be there and support them. You don't have to get it, but just be there for them. And that's where the let them is so amazing because not everybody's going to be like that.
Yeah.
Let them think what they're going to think, but they're not the ones who are here on this podcast interviewing. I have no idea who else you've interviewed yet, but I can't wait to listen to everything. Like all the people that you get to interview and meet, and what is this going to do for your future? Imagine if you didn't do that because somebody else out there said, "Ooh, that's not going to be very good. You're not going to succeed."
Exactly. So and that's exactly what I think when it comes to your brand as well. It wouldn't have led to maybe some of the other opportunities in your cookbook. And,
Totally.
so that's why I always believe in the fact that people should just go after, what they really set their minds towards.
Yeah,
And, that's my mindset at this point.
I love it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I can't thank you enough for coming on today, Melinda. It's been a pleasure getting to know you even more so off TikTok and off Instagram, and really having this deep dive conversation. I really have enjoyed it. So thank you again for coming on today.
Thank you. It was an honor to be here.